I would say that you've done a pretty shitty job.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to announce to you that we have a new god. Yes, you heard it correctly. We have the looksmaxxing god.
Nice.
The age of the internet, we have birthed a new breed of celebrity. And no, it's not the type of celebrity who goes viral for something that they do or they say, but for the way that they are so obsessed with their physical looks. And the right pinnacle of this movement, we have Braden Peters, also known to millions of people on TikTok and the Kick as a Clavicular. He says that your struggles in life aren't just because of your personality, but they're just about your facial symmetry. Wow, how come have I never thought about this? He advocates for hard maxing, extreme measures like hormone injections and bone smashing, where you just hit your own face with the hammers and we ship the bone.
Why are we hitting the face?
But recently, the mask has begun to slip. When Andrew Callaghan interviewed him for Channel 5, we didn't see a superhuman, but we saw a 20 years old so terrified of being average that he has biohacked himself into total isolation. So before getting into the interview, we really have to understand the core of a Clavicular, who he really is and why did he become famous. Braden wasn't always the confident judge of subhumans as he portrays today. Matter of fact, growing up in New Jersey, he was just a skinny, awkward kid who felt completely invisible. And while other teens were navigating the 2020 lockdowns, Clavicular was descending into the dark corners of looksmaxxing forums. By 14, he was injecting testosterone in his bedroom. He spent up to 14 hours a day checking the distance between his eyes and the shape of his jaw with mathematical precision. He was ultimately kicked out of college after only 3 weeks of hiding steroids in his dorm. The first question that Andrew asks Clavicular is about human connection, because a Clavicular had admitted right in the past that his whole journey began because he was feeling deeply insecure about the way that he looks. And just listen to what he has to say, because I really feel like this already is just a red flag.
I was talking about this on my stream the other day. Say you were to do like a bowling date with a girl and you weren't streaming it, like that's just the most ridiculous.
Well, what about like connecting with her because like you like her or something like that? You know, like maybe you want to start a family.
But where's the ROI in that?
What's that?
Like, where's the ROI?
Sorry, what's ROI?
Return on investment.
So he's claiming that he's the unbothered king and that human connections are just a waste of time unless they have a high ROI or return of investment. But at the same time, he is admitting that his entire journey began because he wanted to feel included. He wanted attention, the attention that he didn't have when he was ugly. So this to me just reveals the ultimate irony, because a Clavicular has spent literally years transforming his body to attract people, only to then reach a point where he says that humans are just a waste of time. And this to me is just a classic defensive mechanism, because if he doesn't care, then how can he be rejected? This happens with the people who have an avoidant attachment. They will just run away before they even get the chance to be rejected by the other person. However, it's just pretty clear to me that this guy was deeply hurt in the past, and instead of just acknowledging all of his emotions and trying to heal, he just used the looksmaxxing as a coping mechanism. Now, this, in my opinion, is the funniest but also the most controversial part of the interview so far. He's asked why he doesn't really interact with people besides the ROI thing, and just to listen to what he has to say.
I would say the average person that you meet who's like an enjoyer of sports, who drinks beer, for example, you know, let's go have a beer at the pub and watch Sunday football. Like, that's the worst thing that you could do. Like, you should be on PubMed reading various different studies on how you could looksmax. People will just drink alcohol for no reason at all. It seems like, let's go have a drink, when if you were actually smart, you would realize the purpose of alcohol is to lower your inhibitions to talk to girls. So that's the only time in which it makes sense to leverage such a toxic drug like ethanol.
So to him, alcohol is bad because it leads to a social vulnerability and the wasted calories, which offer no returns of that investment, because remember that everything for him is just a pure investment. Nothing has to be about love. It's just about grinding. But when it comes to meth and injecting yourself with the most risky things on this earth, then it's just totally okay, because they are levers that he can pull to manipulate his appearance to get laid. I am trying so hard to make it make sense by his reasonings, but I'm sorry, I just can't. Andrew then asks him about the Miami incident. And if you don't know what the incident is about, he has been seen in Miami clubs singing songs about Hitler with white nationalist figures, later saying that he will never apologize for bringing up a good joke. So as we can already see from his body language, he has a closed body, meaning that he is not just a very uncomfortable, but he is a very defensive.
How did you feel about the whole Miami club controversy a few months ago?
The controversy I'm referring to is how many people, including myself, became aware of Clav in the first place. So, while on stream, a while ago now, Clav went to a nightclub in Miami with some other guys. While they were out, both in the Sprinter van and inside the club, somebody played Kanye's famous Hitler song. You know the one. The incident led to widespread media attention, condemnation by political leadership, a blame game amongst participants, and earned Clav a lifelong ban from all major Miami clubs.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, the aftermath, the
Well, I
magnitude
mean,
of coverage.
it sucks not being able to go to some of the mod clubs. I mean, I just started college club maxing. In a lot of ways, that was actually better because it's more affordable actually. So a lot of people sort of like to talk about that in interviews, and it's dude, what's the relevance?
I recently found out that he had a very bad incident, meaning that he was a live stream because this guy live streams 24/7. That's something that you have to know about him. He was basically seen collapsing on the floor of a mall. And of course, that was streamed to more than 100,000 people. If you know Cake, if you know TikTok, you know that the majority of these people online are not even 16 years old. They're just very young people. The reason why he collapsed in a mall was because of a suspected overdose, but we're never gonna know because he clearly doesn't want to talk about his drug abuse. So to me, he's not just a beauty influencer, as many would call him, but he's just a young man, spiraling in a world of radicalization and substance abuse, all under the guise of self-improvement. And his obsession with optimization reveals to me a profound fear of smallness, meaning that no matter what he does, he is constantly scared of being mocked by someone else. And this is even funnier when you recall that just a few minutes ago, he clearly stated that human connections are just a waste of time and that he doesn't care about what people think about him. So again, we have another controversy going on. But moving on, Clavicular then admits to Andrew that he can't socially function without taking pregabalin, which is a drug they use to treat social anxiety. And to me, honestly, this is just the cure of his insecurity. Because despite his perfect looking face, he's still the same awkward kid who is truly terrified to speak. And he is not actually confident, guys. He is just chemically inhibited. He has made it clear many times that he views lives just as a spreadsheet, the word friends are tools and the dates are just transactions. And this mindset is a pure prison, because you're never going to do something just for the sake of the play, for the sake of doing something. You are constantly preoccupied with the tangible, extrinsic rewards such as numbers, weights, and because your mind is so preoccupied with not even tangible problems, you can't live in the present. You can't even enjoy things. In this part, Clavicular is asked about body count and what the right number is for both women and men, and his answer is just misogynistic.
One thing that I've seen to be a major point of debate and contention is the whole body count. What do you think is the ideal body count?
Well, for who?
Let's start with for dudes, for guys like us.
I don't really think that there's an ideal. I think that the argument that a lot of red pillars and people in the manosphere give is getting this amount of bodies so that you're able to understand female nature and this, that, and the other thing, when that's really not true and it's not necessary. I think what it's really about is just the willingness to put your foot down in bad relationships and leave, because a lot of dudes are so desperate. They finally get that girlfriend and they're so unwilling to lose it that they just have their girlfriend walking all over them, not respecting them, and that's more so the problem. And that's something that men who are getting a lot of women are more likely to avoid, but you can avoid it without having 50 sexual partners, certainly.
What do you think's the ideal body count for a woman? Does it matter?
I would say that having any previous sexual encounters is not good.
So the ideal situation is like a virgin?
Correct, yeah.
Why?
Because of something called pair bonding. That's what a relationship is all about, right? A long-term relationship with a partner, being pair bonded with different brain chemicals with that person. So if that process is damaged in any sort of way, that just reduces the chance of success in that relationship, right? So that's not like an anti-woman perspective. I think that's just a very like scientific reason for that. It's not just like low IQ.
So do you think males lose pair bonding value in the same way that women do as they get
No, it's a
increased?
little bit different.
How come you think?
Well, just the way that our brain chemistries are different, right? So, and it's also not necessarily a bad thing, because it's like we're talking about before, the ability to put your foot down and leave bad situations.
She says that a man can have as many women as he wants, but women are supposed to stay virgins because if they don't, they will never be able to pair bond with the one and only later allied. He claims that women have a limited capacity to bond emotionally with the partner, and then every previous sexual encounter erodes this ability, whereas the men are biologically exempt from this rule. Because you know me, I want to zero down every single thing that people say on the medias. Scientifically speaking, this reasoning is just inconsistent, and I'm going to tell you why. From a neurological perspective, the chemicals responsible for pair bonding are primarily oxytocin and vasopressin. They function in both men and women. If having multiple partners desensitize a person to emotional connection, it would affect both the sexes equally. So there is no biological mechanism that allows a man to remain emotionally fresh through dozens of women, while a woman's brain supposedly loses its capacity for intimacy. Furthermore, this ideology misinterprets the concept of pair bonding itself. In evolutionary biology, pair bonding is a behavioral pattern aimed at cooperation for raising offspring, not just a physical seal that can be broken. So the idea that women are damaged by past experiences while men are enhanced by them isn't a scientific observation. It's just a social double standard rebranded as a biology to justify control. Another thing that I've noticed throughout the entire interview is the fact that Clavicular uses a lot of big scientific words, mostly out of context. And psychologically speaking, this is an attempt to sound like an authority, because deep down he knows that he is a nothing. And therefore, by mimicking the vocabulary of a scientist, he is desperately trying to convince the people out there, but mostly himself, that he really is someone, that he really is doing the best things on this earth, and that his lifestyle is a sophisticated discipline rather than just a mental health crisis, which is actually what it is. Now, unfortunately, the Channel 5 interview reached the breaking point when Andrew Callaghan stated that he was 100% satisfied with what he sees in the mirror every single morning. And because Clavicular couldn't really understand how Andrew wanted to be looksmaxxed by him, he just gets out and leaves the set.
When you wake up every single morning and you take a look in the mirror, you're 100% satisfied with every single thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, dude. All right. Well, this, you know, I guess that's just, if you want to be completely disingenuous, that's fine with me. I guess there's just no point to continue.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The reason why he does that is just very easy. Like, he just couldn't handle the statement because it threatened his entire existence. Because if a person can be happy without looksmaxxing, then his entire life is just a lie. Braden's years of self-inflicted pain and isolation were just done for nothing. So he fled because he just couldn't math his way out of this. As he will never understand how someone can be truly happy with the way that they looks. Because frankly speaking, he is the first one who will never be happy with the way that he personally looks.
There was not even a single genuine attempt at like a specific looksmax question.
Well, I'm not in the looksmaxxing community. I'm trying to learn about it. Not everyone talking to you is going to be a niche person who knows about all the methods.
Yeah, I know you're not in the looksmaxing community, but you didn't even ask a looksmaxing question, like at all. You don't need to be in the looksmaxing community to ask a looksmaxing question.
I think we've been talking about looksmaxxing this whole time.
I really like Andrew's face right here because it's like, bro, we have been literally asking you about looksmaxxing for the past hour. What else do you want from you? I'm not diagnosing him. I'm not saying that he's this or that, but one thing is for certain. He is a very deeply immature and insecure person. And I feel so sad for him because he will never truly be happy with the way that he looks. He will never truly be happy with the life that he has because he will constantly be looking out for someone who's gonna mug him, someone who's gonna be better than him. And by just thinking about this, I feel like he must have had a very rough childhood. But again, I'm just sharing my honest thoughts as a psychologist and as someone who is in their 20s, and I feel like these things need to be talked about. I really want you to just not follow these type of people, because these type of people are very insecure and they are not gonna add anything to your life. The only people that you should look up to are the ones that are gonna add something positive in your life. Like people that are gonna teach you something, people that are gonna guide you through something. But celebrities like this really just don't feed anyone. If you're someone who is really obsessed with the way that they look, I want you to know that, frankly speaking, you can be as hot as you want, but if you don't have a soul, if you don't have a human life out there, life won't change for you. You will always be left alone and left aside, because of course, us as a human beings, especially in today's society where AI is taking over literally everything, we're not looking for someone who looks perfect all of the time. We are looking for some deeper trust, for some deeper connection. Yeah, there's a type of influencers that really don't add anything to your life. They're gonna make you insecure just as they are, because people like this are just projecting on the media and to their massive followers everything that they have on the inside. Until next time, please stay safe and remember to call people out for their bullshit, just as I do with my YouTube channel. And please don't ever try any of these drugs, because taking drugs want to make life easier. Matter of fact, it's gonna make it a living hell for you. Trust me, there is always a bright future ahead of you. I'm going to see you next week. Until then, stay safe.